You're listening to WPPM LP in Philadelphia. Good afternoon. It's Wednesday here at Philly Cam, and you're listening to WPPM 106.5 FM and watching live on Philly Cam TV here in our Center City studios. My name's Vanessa Maria Gramer. I'm your host, and this is the People Power Lunch Hour. On today's show, we are going to be speaking with people from the Women in Media Conference. We have a bunch of wonderful women here, including the director, Danielle Jeter, who are going to recap the conference that happened this weekend in Philadelphia. A little later on in the show, we're going to talk to LaQuisha Anthony, who's from Women Organizing Against Rape. And then finally, at the end of our show, our very own Antoine Haywood is going to be calling in from a MAGDA action in Washington, D.C. about net neutrality. The People Power Lunch Hour is a weekly talk show that we televise and also air on WPPM. That talks about local issues, organizing social movements, and includes the work of the nonprofit organizations here in Philly. So we'll talk about all that and more in this edition. We hope you'll stay with us. We'll be right back. Good afternoon. Welcome to the People Power Lunch Hour. On today's show, we're going to start off by talking to some of the women involved with the wonderful organization Women in Media. The Women in Media organization was created to empower, equip, and encourage women from all walks of life who are in the media field to seek or enter it. The collective of millennial small business owners and media professionals created WIM Philly with the hopes of driving diversity and unity within the media industry. WIM is on a mission to reach as many women as possible from all corners of the world. So the name has changed to reflect as such and is now Women in Media Global because they have moved beyond Philadelphia. So before we get into our conversation with our lovely guests, I'd like to play a clip from the conference. And this is Gabe Castro, who is one of our Philly Cam Access facilitators, who is one of our many women working in the media field, talking with director Danielle Jeter about the conference and how it's evolved for this year, which is its fifth installation.
We also got the opportunity to interview the founder of the event, Danielle.
And Women in Media is right here. So Women in Media was actually the name of the first event. And that was where, we said, calling all women in media, come out to a workshop, own your voices, Yes. And so what we do is empower, equip, and encourage women in media and women to own their voices. So that's how, we got started. And 5 years later, it's bigger than it ever was.
All right, that was Danielle Jeter speaking with Gabe Castro a little bit about the conference. Danielle, I want to welcome you to the show along with your other organizers, Candace, Zamira, Imzadi. Welcome to the People Power Lunch Hour, ladies.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Danielle, we'll start with you first. Tell our listeners a little bit about the conference, and you told a story at the event of how it got started. If you could recap that a little bit and talk about some of the work that you're doing.
Sure. Back in 2013, I want to say, we had our first event held at Temple University where it was sponsored. That event was a brainchild and vision of mine after attending a film screening here in Philadelphia about Philadelphia's art scene. And the film was not a true depiction of Philadelphia's art scene, and it did not represent women. In fact, there was only one woman represented in that feature film for her art. And we all know Philadelphia is extremely big and proud and just full of art and culture. We have people who perform, they're vocalists, they're theater, there's all types of artists, and to only have one woman represented was not good. I had just got home from Spelman College, Epic Center, where women are celebrated, where we are empowered, where we have a community there. And to come back home to see a film about my city that did not have women represented, to be shopped around the world and feature film festivals, it didn't sit well with me. And so I was moved to do something to empower women to own their voices. And I got on the phone and I began to call women in the industry, sharing my experience and the need and a want to do something. And everybody said, well, let's do something. The film was screened during Women's Month, and for me, that was like double offensive. So we went ahead and we moved forward under 50 days. We executed the first workshop, which is like a half-day event, which included a panel discussion. And on that panel discussion was Deanna Williams from Radio 1, E. Stephen Collins, the late, great E. Stephen came out. We had people from Philadelphia City Council, Comcast, MTV, a lot of the major companies, Clear Channel, Mina Say What was there. Everybody was represented that day, and it was only intended for that one opportunity. There was no vision or no idea or even talks to go beyond what happened at Temple that day. But after we experienced it and we saw the responses and we saw the turnout and the later follow-ups of women looking for more, to do more, wanting more, we came together and decided to brand something completely new called Women in Media. And 5 years later, not only are we here in Philly, but we also recently started a chapter in Atlanta, Georgia, with the vision to have a global representation of women in media who come together as professionals, who support one another, who provide opportunity for each other, who empower, equip, and encourage each woman to own her voice and to be leaders and owners in the industry.
Well, that's a great summary, and you recapped it exactly the way you did. And it's a wonderful story. And I just want to tell our listeners and our viewers out there a little bit about Danielle, because, it takes a special person to found a special project like this. Danielle is an alumni of Spelman College, and you're the founder and president of Women in Media. And Danielle is also the African American Chamber of Commerce Young Professional of the Year for PA New Jersey and December in 2014. And she's also been mentioned as one of the top 10 people under 40 to watch in Philadelphia by the Philadelphia Tribune newspaper. And she's also been appointed to the Commission for Governor Tom Wolf on African American Affairs Committee. So you're actually Commissioner Danielle
I'm
Jeter.
Commissioner Jeter.
That's right. So that's very exciting to have a young woman such as yourself represent for Philly and empower women. Tell us a little bit about the theme, Women, Leadership, Impact, and Change.
This year we decided to, each year we have a new theme, and this year was Advocacy and Leadership, be seen, be heard, be bold. When we think about, this kind of came from the political landscape of what's going on and how Hillary Clinton ran her campaign and how there's other women rising up in Congress and on the state level and local level who are really voicing concerns, but also taking the leap in the leadership to lead in a major way when it comes to lawmakers and representing our communities, our voices. And I just feel it in my spirit and in my bones that we're not going to move away from that. We're going to continue to see women who rise up to not only just be community leaders, but be political leaders. And it's important for women in media to know and learn how to advocate with our multimedia skill set and with our resources. And so how can we support these women who have taken the big leap to go ahead and step out in front of the community and lead? It's no foreign secret that there is when it comes to women leading in the various industries, the representation isn't there, and politics is one of them. We have a lot more of our male counterparts leading in a lot of industries, but now is a great opportunity for women to stand up and lead and advocate. So how can we raise the concerns of our community? How can we support our community through the resources and assets that we have and create more noise and value around what's going on?
So before we get into our first topic, I just want to recap the conference a little bit. The keynote speaker and the big draw for a lot of people was without a doubt Sonia Sanchez, who, if you didn't know, is a really famous and thought-provoking writer, poet, professor, intellectual, and activist. She gave a very powerful keynote speech. It was truly amazing to share a space with her and to share that moment with so many other great women. You can give me the exact number. There's over 100 women there from all walks of life, many different ages, diverse backgrounds, and from all kinds of media. So that was exciting. There's workshops, many different kinds of workshops. There's networking. There's food. The food was good. There was a section where people were tabling. So we were there with a lot of the other people who were authors, and we met a lot of really great people. Shout out to all the people that stopped by our table. And really, it's just a great day to meet new people, to learn some new things, and to really get motivated and energized about being a woman and making media. Does that pretty much cover it?
Yes, that was a great overview of the conference, the day-long conference.
Yeah, so it was really wonderful. So your first topic that you wanted to talk about was about empowerment and talking about some of these wellness workshops. So Danielle, I'm going to toss it to you, and you would lead this conversation.
Okay, awesome. So, women in media, our 3 pillars is empower, equip, and encourage women to own their voices. And that is for women who are in the industry, but also for women who aspire to enter the industry, providing a safe haven and a supportive community for them to navigate the space, to have resources, to gain mentors, opportunities personally and professionally to achieve their goals. So Mzadi was one of our production team members this year. She also served as a conference leader. And last year, Mzadi came to the conference as a student. And we have the opportunity to provide complimentary tickets to students who are interested in coming. So the conference is diverse by age group. We have as young as high school students there, college students there, mid-level professionals, and also seasoned professionals, which creates a very unique atmosphere to encourage mentorship. So Mzadi, tell us a little bit about what you found. You found a quote for Sonia Sanchez, who was our keynote speaker, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, first I'm going to read the quote to you guys. I still hear you humming, mama. The color of your song calls me home. The color of your words saying, let her be. She got a right to be different. She going to stumble on herself one of these days. And I be. And this is a quote from Sonia Sanchez. I chose this quote since we're talking about empowerment because I believe this quote from Sonia Sanchez is powerful. When we talk about empowerment, this is what this quote speaks of. Empowerment is the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's rights. Sonia Sanchez says you can't have relationships with other people until you give birth to yourself. And when we tap into our own power, it is the deepest form of self-love. And empowerment doesn't happen alone. It takes teachers. When we are helped by other women, we feel the need to pay it forward. That's how we continue and we create prosperous communities. Because someone used their voice to say, just be, let her be, to Miss Sonia Sanchez, she became, and look what has become of her. She does this for women, for us, and for all of us.
Awesome. So let me back up and introduce Mzadi and share a little bit about her. As I stated, we met last year she was a student at Community College of Philadelphia. Mzadi Davis is an award-winning freelance writer and a member of the Women in Media 2017 production team. She first got involved with the Women in Media organization after attending our 4th annual conference in 2016 as an undergraduate student studying mass media at the Community College of Philadelphia. She believes in the Women in Media mission to empower, equip, and encourage women such as herself who seek to enter media or who are already in media through annual conferences, events, and resources. Women in Media has given Mzadi the opportunity to sit on the 5th annual Women in Media Conference production team, serving as secretary, and she's really enjoying the journey.
Yes, I am.
Yes. So when we talk about, empowerment, and ladies, feel free to jump in on this conversation. I feel like that's exactly what happened on Saturday. And like you mentioned, Mzadi, having Sonia Sanchez there really empowered me and the entire room because she's our elder. Yeah. Sonia Sanchez is 80, in her mid-80s, and to have her come out to support a young organization under 5 years old, well, we are 5 years old, to come out to support us, she really empowered our movement, and she brought a lot of attention. She brought a lot of interest. She brought a lot of everything with her. And the fact that she walked in on excellence. So we were so privileged to honor Sonia Sanchez with the Arete of Media Award, which means excellence in Greek. And for her to have come so prepared, she pulls out this 10-page typed piece, that she wrote just for that moment for Women in Media, and she began to recite it. She began to perform her poetry, and I was floored. She really did that for us. And because the world knows her as a poet, she walked in ready to go. She could have came and been real casual, could have shared her story off the top of her head, but she was so prepared, and it just empowered me in that moment to move forward. And to be able to sit on the shoulders of our sisters and our ancestors who have provided so much, for us to have what we have today, it really changed my life.
Absolutely. Yes. I don't know if you want to talk. What I got from this, this was the first time I was in a group full of women who were seriously world-class leaders. First of all, I feel like you're a leader, beyond measure. So thank you for even creating this platform for revolutionary leaders such as us, coming up to be Danielle did it this way. Maybe we should ask her or see what organization Women in Media is doing. So moving forward, this is exactly where anyone in media, men, women, but women especially, can set their voice. And thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Touch my heart.
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoyed the conference. Like I told Danielle, it was one of the better conferences that I've been to. Prior to joining the conference leaders, I never called myself a writer. I never called myself a blogger. I never considered myself in media. I was it's just something that I do. And then being around Danielle and you ladies and the rest of the girls and being in the conference, I was I am in media. This is awesome. And then getting to hear Sonia Sanchez it's an experience I'll cherish for the rest of my life. I remember texting my friends honey, she speaks. She just speaks. And I was just floored. And I actually have a video and I'm very happy about it. So it was really awesome.
That's awesome.
I want to add in.
Oh, feel free.
I want to get back to what you were saying. Having Sonia Sanchez there, her being our elder, and even what Zamira said with, just you being here. I was watching Hidden Figures the other day. And it just made me think of all the women who came before me, and they faced so much, but they kept going, and it's so inspiring. And to just be around you and Sonia Sanchez and all the other amazing women that were at the conference and the production team is just so important. And that's what women media is about. It's just having women who are around us, who encourage us, who inspire us, who equipped us.
I want to ask you, ladies, can you think of a time where you've either empowered a young person or another woman, or a scenario where someone has empowered you to be, do, and have what you have?
Well, as I'm building my own personal brand, my platform is actually young Black female entrepreneurs. And so now I've gotten in the very good habit of when I get on like any kind of social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, if I see something that a peer of mine is doing, I will retweet everything just to give encouragement, or I write a comment just to give encouragement, recommendation. I think it's really important. I think that's something we didn't have before. Because, before it was like for females, it was like a dog eat dog world because there was only like one of us out of like 25 men. And so now, because it's becoming more, because women are basically taking over, I've made it a part of myself to not only do that, but also I don't really like to talk bad about women anymore. Like, I've gotten out of the habit of doing that. So I make myself more consciously aware. Now, for me, I get encouragement from seeing other people, like from seeing my peers do everything that they're doing. Danielle, you're awesome. You're so freaking amazing. But Danielle has encouraged me to like kind of step into my own and see like I can do this, and it's not scary. It doesn't have to be frightening, and I can actually meet up with other women and collab and do all kinds of things. And we're powerful in numbers. So.
Absolutely. I just remember growing up and just being involved in like just Black culture and hip hop culture and just city life where there were images and messages, directly pointed to us, stating and reiterating that, that there's no community and that we can't work together and that sort of thing. And it was really fulfilling for me to be able to attend Spelman College, and every single myth was dispelled at that place. Like, Spelman College is a college for all women, founded to educate Black women. And it was the most amazing experience that I've had. So when I go out and I speak to young people about their future goals and if they are interested in going to college, I always suggest Spelman College. And they're like, I don't want to go to school with all girls and, I'm done with girls and, stuff like that. Oh, I was in private school with girls. I'm done with that. I want to move forward. But it was an empowering opportunity for me, and it was extremely encouraging to be around such motivated and highly accomplished, just polished women who really have their heads on straight and who are looking to make a difference. And our motto at Spelman College is a choice to change the world. So there's countless stories for inspiration for me when I'm online, I'm researching, and I find these awesome stories of Spelman women who are older than me, who are just doing it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she went to Spelman, like at the end, graduated from Spelman. I'm like, oh my gosh, these women are all over the world, really empowering communities. And that's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to keep us moving along because we have a 1-hour show and we're live here from Philly Camp. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to WPPM LP 106.5 in Philadelphia, and you're watching Philly Camp TV on Comcast and Verizon. I'm Vanessa Maria Graber, and I'm here in the studio with the fabulous women from Women in Media Global. But they're representing Philly today. And I want to give a shout out to the all-female crew here at Philly Cam, operating the camera in the control room and here at the boards. So it's all about girl power today. I want to move into our second topic, which is more about women using multimedia tools, advocacy, and leadership, and equipping communities to empower themselves. So Danielle, if you want to lead us through that conversation. We're, again, talking about the Women in Media Conference that just happened and some of the conversations that happened over the weekend and some of the work to continue to build on throughout the year.
Absolutely. So Mzadi has another quote from Sonia Sanchez, and I believe we have a clip as well.
That's right. So why don't we play the clip first, and then we will recite the quote. So let's hear it.
This year, for the 5th Annual Women in Media Conference, attendees had the pleasure of hearing from the renowned poet, activist, and scholar Sonia Sanchez, who served as a keynote speaker for this event.
And we, as a people, You know, people laugh at Trump. You can laugh all you want to, laugh, but organize. Yeah. Laugh and organize so he doesn't get reelected. That is a dangerous man, you know. When you look at him and you understand the 1% that put him in power, okay, whatever, fascism is looking us in the eyes. And the people who will end up really in a sorry condition will be black and Puerto Rican, black and brown people, and working class whites who have not recognized what has happened to them yet in this country. Because what America says, you might be poor, but you're white. Isn't it amazing that you could say that? You might be poor, but you're white. Isn't that something? It's about time that we began to look at each other and said, we need to really come together and work together.
That was powerful. I didn't expect her to go there on Saturday, but she spoke from her heart, and I really appreciated that. Mzadi, feel free to share your quote now.
Yes. So, I cannot tell the truth about anything unless I confess being a student, growing and learning something new every day. The more I learn, the clearer my view of the world becomes. And that is from Miss Sonia Sanchez.
Beautiful. That I absolutely love that quote, especially when she talks about growing. I feel like we learn the most from our mistakes, and I really say like every lesson is truly a blessing, and like especially learning how to work cordially with women. It's definitely a big obstacle sometimes, but I'm glad that Sister Sonia Sanchez has really set that platform for us.
So I should go ahead and introduce you to Zamira.
Yes.
Let me pull up your awesome bio.
Thank you.
But I love that quote as well. It for me, you know, learning every day and being at the point where it's like, I don't know everything. For her to be at her age, I'm pretty sure that she remains the same way, because as we grow older, the world changes.
Right.
And so there's always something new to learn, even if you feel as if you've learned, you know, enough in your years while you're 80, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So let's introduce our other WIM conference leader who joined us this year. Yeah. Zamira Scott is a philanthropist, brand analysis, personal trainer, and business owner. Has a profound way of igniting lives. Former TU and MCCC student. What's MCCC?
Montgomery County Community College. Shout out to Marco.
Okay. Zamira's mission is to supply resources and tools for entrepreneurs to gain economic stability. Since 2013, Zamira's involvement with small business development and mentoring the youth has truly impacted the communities around her. Zamira's desire to give back has allowed her to amplify her knowledge, expertise, and professionalism. Zamira's vision is to propel and ignite the dream chasers inside of all of us. And again, she joined Women in Media this year as a conference leader. How did you learn about WIM?
You guys were posting like crazy. Thank you.
Shout out to Kendall.
Yeah, shout out to Kendall. And I saw it and I said, oh my gosh, they're about empowering women, equipping them. Yes, I want to be a part of this. Like, I mean, I had no idea that you guys did this 4 years prior, but I like feel so blessed to even like have found you, and then you responded. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. So yeah, no, you definitely gave me an opportunity of a lifetime, like priceless. So yeah,
awesome,
thank you.
Awesome. And I might as well introduce Candace while we're at it. So Candace, you said by day you are
an optician.
What do you do?
I work at an I work for the Eye Institute.
Oh yeah, I saw you with contacts in your bag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't see.
Girl, come
we
on.
Could probably talk offline. But she's also a blogger, publicist, and writer by hustle. She was born in Newark, Delaware, and raised in Philadelphia. In 2015, she completed her bachelor's degree in psychology and health science from Westchester University of Pennsylvania, where she spent 3 years on the executive board for one of the university's largest running organizations. In 2016, she started a website that included her personal blog and a section for inspiration for other female bosses. Currently, Candace has several projects in the works, including relaunching her blog and brand, which will stand as a platform for uplifting young Black female entrepreneurs. Candace joined Women in Media for the first time this year as a WIM 2017 conference leader. So as conference leaders, you ladies, some of you went into the workshops. Do you want to share a little bit about what you experience in our workshops. So this year we featured 9 workshops, which is an increase from previous years. Previous years we've only offered maybe 2 or 3 workshops, but I really take into account feedback and what our attendees want, and they wanted more. So I thought of a way to give them more was to offer more workshops where they could be in smaller groups and be able to really dive into their topics with their workshop leaders and their presenters one-on-one. So we had 9 groups all over the building offering workshops in wellness, leadership, and media.
Were you in a workshop?
No, I wasn't in a
Oh.
workshop. I was
I was in a
the
workshop.
registration table.
Candace, you talked a little bit about Melissa's workshop, Blurred Lines. And Melissa Alem has been with Women in Media for about 3 years now in different capacities. Each year she comes back. So tell us a little bit about her workshop.
Melissa's workshop was more so of a roundtable discussion. So she wasn't really teaching, but she did have some slides. And her workshop was based off of the way that women are portrayed in the media. So the images that they use of us, the ones they don't show, how they, alter images and things like that. And she did a list of brands that were doing it wrong and brands that were doing it right.
Such as
brands that are doing it wrong are like American Apparel.
Mm-hmm.
Their ads completely entirely over sexualize women, and we're seeing as objects. Brands that are doing it right is like Nike, because Nike has now come out with commercials and clothes and sportswear for everyone, so you can be comfortable and things like that. And basically what she was saying is that you don't have to participate in the brands that are doing it wrong. Don't give them the power, don't give them your money, don't give them your attention, don't give them your time. Participate with the brands that are doing it right. And if you see a brand that is doing it wrong and you can't find a brand that is doing it right, create a brand that's doing it right. Come in with each other, because the way that we are portrayed in media is, honestly, for me, it's utterly disgusting. And so that was a big part of it. A lot of the women, it was 6 women per workshop, and a lot of women were talking about how they were looked over because they were women and they were supposed to be seen as a certain way. And she also brought up, I forgot the name of the company, but it was 2 women who started a company, and they were not getting responses when they were sending out emails. So what they did was they created a third founder and used a guy's name. Forgot the name, but his last name was Guy. And they were saying how they got so many responses once someone thought that it was a man emailing them. And there was another woman, she was going to get fired, and she switched with her male coworker, and they switched email accounts. So he was sending emails from her account, she was sending emails from his account, and he saw she was not getting as many responses as she was getting under his account. And she was just saying like the importance of like just us continuing to build each other up and not let the images that they have of us, or not the stereotypes about us, continue to be a thing. So it was really good. It was really empowering. It was really good. It was really like mind opening.
Awesome. And you sat in
Kimberly S. Reed. She's a powerhouse.
She
my
is.
God. That was the first time I saw her, and she just like dug into everybody's heart. People sitting there like, oh my gosh. I'll make hers brief. She was really just talking about how to uncover and develop like your revolutionary you, like the person who's going to stop at nothing to get what you want. And I was just like, I was sitting there like, oh my gosh.
Do you remember a tip that she shared?
Yeah, she shared a tip every morning to listen to this motivational thing on YouTube. It's called the Mind Shift motivational video. It's called like Mind Shift, and it's powerful. I listened to it. It's 5 minutes.
Okay.
So that
is
to
it
like
a different clip every day?
Yeah. Well, she labeled those like specific, that one specifically in like a couple of books, but to follow her on social media because she posts it. But she's great. Absolutely amazing.
I agree with Kim. And when we think about equipping ourselves for leadership, it is a mind shift that you have to go through in order to deal with the pressures that come with being in leadership. And right now in media, there's a great opportunity for women to step up and lead. And here at Women in Media, we encourage women to start their own platforms, be the owner, be the CEO, be the director, be the visionary, because you can, with your vision, dispel and do away with a lot of the overall over-sexualization of women in media, the degradation of women in media, And it's crazy that in 2017 we still have to deal with a lot of lyrics and we still have to deal with a lot of images.
Right.
And for me as a personal stand, I stopped watching TV maybe 8 years ago, 7 years ago now, because I didn't see anything on TV that I really enjoyed. There was a lot of the what's the
Which one?
the shows that are on now.
Love and hip hop.
Like all of those
the ratchet
types,
shows, yeah.
all of those types of shows were like taking over.
Yeah.
And then when you think about, okay, so why is this programming getting through on Oxygen, on MTV, on these different channels, and you start to really research
Right.
who's behind the scenes in these brands, a lot of them don't look like us.
Right.
So that means if
Right.
we're not at the table, my mentor, Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown, always says, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu being discussed.
Wow.
Which means that you have no opinion. Like, you can't even bring forth what you feel, what you think, your suggestions, because you're not even in the room.
Right.
You know, so it's for us, it's important that we equipped ourselves to take ourselves beyond being in front of the camera,
Right.
but navigate your steps behind the scenes and really see what's going on and voice your opinion and stand up for it. There's women who've stand up in history for women, and sometimes it could go one of two ways. They
Right.
could maybe listen to you and take your insights into, you know, consideration, or they could just can you,
Right.
you know. But I mean, hey, that's okay. That's why you can start your own. So when Soledad O'Brien left CNN, I was like, I have nothing left here for CNN. I'm turning my TV off.
Right.
And I haven't watched it. You know, I haven't watched it. So I'm encouraged when there's independent filmmakers who are coming up, like Ava DuVernay, who are creating storylines
Yes.
and creating new art and empowering directors, women directors, to, you know, give us something new and fresh,
Absolutely.
something that will appreciate us and really, really share our story that's isn't influenced by numbers and viewers and, you know, anything to kind of up your revenue, but just to, for the love of and sake of the art, to be truthful, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, I want to add to that, because you were saying if you're not at the table, you're on the menu being discussed. And it's so important, like you were saying, for us to get in those positions to create something new and something positive, because some of these reality shows are supposed to be like a representation of reality, and some of them represent us, you know. And so it's important to have people who want to represent us the right way.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's important we get involved and we create things to create these positive images in media.
I just want to give a plug to Philly Cam and community media, because a lot of the work that we're doing is combating a lot of these negative stereotypes, these narratives. And Danielle can attest to this from being a part of a show like Community Voice, where we have a steady stream of positive, intelligent people doing really great things here in Philly and South Jersey, and yet they're never given airtime in our mainstream media. What we see is a lot of the crime and a lot of these other issues that are, you know, depicts people of color, especially as criminals, women and youth as victims. And so, you know, it's really important, and people had to fight to start, you know, organizations like this. So shout out to Gretchen Clausing. She's another, you know, that's what Philly Cam was honored. I just want to say we were honored, but this is super important. You know, a lot of people even ask me, like, how did you get that job at the radio station? I said, well, we had to start it, you know, and that's why we're here. So I'm with you, and I encourage people to start their own independent media, you know, do your own podcast. If you can't get a job at a station, you know, just start doing it on your own, because eventually if you have the content and you make the connections at places like the conference, you know, the revenue will come, the notoriety will come, and just keep working at it. Institutions like these don't happen overnight. It took people 27 years to fight for Philly Cam, and I personally worked on this radio project for 6 years. So, you know, again, and it takes women to uplift other women.
Right.
So that's also important, you know, as you're creating these projects, to create opportunities for other women to join you, and we can rise together.
Exactly. And speaking of women, empowering women and providing opportunities, Ava DuVernay is a awesome example of that, and how she puts other women in the director's chair, for film projects such as Queen Sugar and Neely Galen. There's also a Latino who's a Cuban immigrant who is the first female president of Telemundo. And so she partnered with Coca-Cola to create a new movement, and it's a digital content platform that promotes Latina empowerment, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. And another awesome example of women who are leading and doing things for one another is Lisa Lang, who is, a journalist and CNN correspondent.
Yes, I love she goes to some dark places of the world.
She does. She's
Yeah.
brave.
Yeah.
She gets those stories. There's so many stories out here, And if, mainstream media, a lot of it is pushed by commercial dollars, and it's pushed by those people who spend money in advertisement with them. And so those numbers, it's all business, right? But then you have stations like Philly Cam, where they're really empowering people in the community and really getting stories that touch home, and sharing things that we might not know about because it's not being shared, on the mainstream radio stations.
That's right. So, again, if you want to get involved, if you want to, start taking classes, that's one of the greatest things that we offer is we educate people. We have retired people who have finished their careers and then come here and they say, but I always wanted to do this. And then they come and, they're doing shows and they're meeting other people. We have young people, we have youth here who are learning. So we'll take everybody. So come on down, phillycam.org, check us out and meet some of these great people who are involved. So before we wrap up, I did want to play another clip because I think it was a great question that was asked at the conference, because doing all this is not easy, like there is a lot of struggles. I could personally attest to the struggles involved in starting this radio station, I mean, it takes a lot of work, a lot of patience. And as you said, we need to lift each other up. So this clip is from one of the panels that happened at the conference. And it is one of the conference participants asking the panel, how do they weather the storm?
The conference also featured a panel of outstanding women in media who answered questions from the audience, such as, how do you weather the storm?
Drop my God, Jesus, faith.
I think I said it earlier, yoga and meditation are my grounding forces.
I would say the same. Yoga, making some quiet time to just be and try to just clear everything else out and just have that time to be quiet and still.
Quiet time running for me, and time with my kids. So they're pretty amazing individuals. They're getting older now and adults, and just hearing them and getting out of my life, getting out of my head, out of my problems, and pouring it into somebody else is actually very powerful.
I just want to piggyback on that, because I think that having like really good friends, like that, the people who like know you, who you can be however, you don't have to be fabulous. You can cry. You can.
It's always good to have a sister that you can pull out a box of tissues with.
Yeah, having that network of friends is so healing and rejuvenating and important, particularly when you're really busy, so that you can just be who you really are with the people that know you best and love you no matter what.
Amen. And I can add on by saying, sis, you might call it a storm, and I know it sounds very redundant and very cliche, but the sun will come out tomorrow. So hold on to faith, girl. Hold on to faith. All right.
All right, that was Lady B wrapping it up, telling people to hold on to faith. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the People Power Lunch Hour on WPPM and Philly Cam TV. And we've been having a really great conversation with the organizers and the president of Women and Media. And so before we wrap up, Danielle, if you could tell people how they can get involved and if there's any other opportunities or workshops coming up, how can they follow you on social media and your website?
Our website is womeninmediaglobal.org. We're on Instagram at WimGlobal and on Twitter at WimSpeaks. Our Facebook is also WimGlobal.org. And if you want to send us an email WIM, that's WIM, Philly @gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to bring on one of the fabulous women that I actually met at the conference, LaQuisha Anthony, and she's going to tell us about a very great and important upcoming event this Saturday. Again, I want to thank Candace Zamira, Imzadi, and Danielle for joining us. Continue the good work at Women and Media Global.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back here on the People Power Lunch Hour. During that conference, I had the opportunity to network and meet somebody who's doing really great work in the city. LaQuisha Anthony is here with Women Organizing Against Rape, and they are having a really big event this weekend, which we would like all of you to join if you can. It's the March Against Rape Culture. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. It was definitely a pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was definitely a pleasure meeting you this weekend at Women in Media Conference. So we are having March to End Rape Culture, which is happening on Saturday at 11 a.m. at Thomas Paine Park. Women Organize Against Rape are partners to this particular event. It's formerly known as the Slut Walk. You've heard of that from Amber Rose and those people. So we have changed it to make it more inclusive, to be March to End Rape Culture. So I hope that you guys will join us there.
So I just want to read a little bit about WOAR. It's a nonprofit organization here in Philly whose mission is to eliminate all forms of sexual violence through specialized treatment services, comprehensive prevention education programs, and advocacy for the rights of victims of sexual assault. And Danielle, I just want to ask you, how did WOAR wind up at Women and Media? I'm so glad that they did, but why did you decide to invite the organization to come to the conference?
LaQuisha and I, we've known each other for several years now, through various business transactions and just being young professionals doing things in the city. And she brought a very interesting perspective to the table that I hadn't thought about in the past. And so we sat down and talked about how WAR was interested in getting more involved in media, but from the sense of building relationships with media makers who can properly represent rape culture and report on it in the media. And so for them to develop a workshop where they would talk to women in media and say, hey, these are the do's the do nots when it comes to talking about what's going on in domestic situations, in rape culture, and how to not perpetuate a cycle of these things that destroy families.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the workshop and your experience at the conference?
Yes, well, the conference was absolutely amazing, totally life-changing for me. I'm truly grateful to be there. But my workshop focused on the language of being an advocate. So we just wanted to make sure that we provide people who are actually in the media field the proper language to utilize concerning different cases of sexual assault, because we understand that if the media can begin to shift the language, then we can shift the language that the community has regarding sexual violence. A lot of times we find a lot of victim blaming happening within the media, and if an event that victim blaming is happening in the media, then it's happening in our communities. And more often than people are actually suffering in silence and deciding that I'm not going to open up about this particular experience because they already have this mindset and this thought process about my experience. So I'm just going to keep quiet, and it just continues to become a perpetuated cycle where people are actually hurting. So
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if we all work together to change the narrative, then hopefully that'll encourage more women and other victims to come forward.
exactly. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's why we decided to come in and be a part of Women in Media. We're, really great for what they're doing already. But the fact that their theme this year was advocacy and leadership, we thought, why not come in and join this movement and really talk to media people about that, and maybe gauge more relationships with other people within media. That way we can continue to shift that dynamic, continue to shift the language that's used regarding sexual violence in our communities.
So tell us a little bit about the event. Who can participate, and what do you hope to do?
So March to End Rape Culture, it is the 7th year of March to End Rape Culture. It is a march and a rally kind of where we're going to actually stay survivors, supporters, advocates, media, you name it. We're going to be there supporting survivors, taking a stand against sexual violence, and learning more. And I think that's the main thing, that here's an opportunity to spread awareness about what rape culture is, what it looks like, and how it impacts our communities. And we just want any and everyone to come out. It doesn't matter your age, your gender identity. We want everyone there because everybody is affected by sexual violence. Although we're not talking about it in the community, it's happening more than we would like. Every 2 minutes, someone is sexually assaulted in America. Every 2 minutes. Women, men, and children. So,
Yeah, that's a very powerful statistic to know. So, most people know somebody, either it's a friend or a family member, or even it's them themselves that have been a victim of sexual violence. So this is one way they could show support and solidarity and learn how to be there for them.
yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank you for joining the show. Can you give them the website?
Sure. The website to March to End Rape Culture is www.mterc.org. And the website to WOAR is www.woar.org. Also, we have a hotline that is available 24/7. It's 215-985-3333.
All right, that's LaQuisha Anthony. Again, the March Against Rape Culture is this Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. at Thomas Paine Plaza. That's right across from City Hall in Philadelphia. All right, we have on the phone with us our last guest, Antoine Haywood. He is calling us from Washington, D.C., and he is engaged in an action with the Media Action Grassroots Network, who you all should definitely learn more about if you're women in media. They are a national network of people representing a variety of different media organizations working for access to the media and media justice. They're in Washington, D.C. today to demand that the FCC maintain net neutrality rules. Antoine Haywood is our membership and outreach director here at PhillyCam. He's also the host and DJ of Crepe Beats Radio. Antoine.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing all right. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in D.C. and what you're involved in today.
Yeah, so actually right now I am calling from the bowels of the bottom of the U.S. Senate offices, which is pretty cool. And Public Knowledge is a public interest advocacy group that has convened a lot of volunteers here who are concerned about keeping the internet free and open to do a day of action, pretty much. And I'm joining and representing community media and then there's also a few other folks with the Media Action Grassroots Network that are here. And we're meeting with some state reps and senators to pretty much to voice our concerns and why it's important to keep the internet open. So which is the FCC chairman. The current chairman is basically threatening to repeal the open internet rules that are in place, that were put in place back in 2015, that we believe are working just fine and dandy. So that's the crux of what we've got going on today.
And so tell us who's part of your delegation.
Alfredo Lopez is here from
May 1st.
Yeah, and also Dee from and I'm totally just her last name escapes me, but she's also originally from Brooklyn, but also lives in Philly and works with Media Mobilizing Project, and then I'm the third person that is the Magnet affiliate representing community media. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
We've had one meeting right now, and it went quite well, and so we had some meeting with the people. Like they're supporters, and they're sitting. They do a lot of caucus work around that advance advocate for communities of color and those interests, and also people who sit on like the utilities commissions.
So just to give like a really brief summary, there was a huge campaign to reclassify the internet as a public utility, which would allow the FCC to regulate it in certain ways. And part of that is keeping the internet free and open, which means everyone can access the content at the same speed. What they're proposing to do now is to repeal those rules and, not have it so the FCC regulates that. And that would make organizations like PhillyCam, Women in Media, and WOAR, that would make our content much harder to be able to be accessed by the public. So it's really important that organizations like ours and all of our members contact their legislators and let them know that this is an important issue and that it really benefits us. It's democratic to keep the internet free and open.
Absolutely. And, one of the central points to today's messaging is that if people do, we need all of our constituents who believe in keeping the internet, and I would say that's most of everyone, to contact, like you're saying, the legislators, and let them know that if there's any type of legislation that should appear on the floors of the House or the Senate, to be against that, because it affects a lot of people, and it only favors the big five of the corporations like Comcast and Verizon and so on and so forth, ISPs. So we want to make sure that we keep it open and free so that people can receive education, they can express themselves freely, et cetera. So that's the main thing, is like people really just to contact and let them know that this is an issue still, and if it comes up, that no, we do not want to move forward with any legislation that alters what has been set in place back in 2015.
That's right, and that will keep our web channels, our internet radio station, all of our podcasts, all of our websites running and make them accessible for all. Antoine, I want to thank you for calling in. Thank you for repping PhillyCam and the rest of us down there. We know that you're going to spread the message and advocate for all of us.
Yep. And we're hoping to do a follow-up call, coordinating that so we can get in a little bit more in depth with this issue in the future.
That's right. So I encourage you to check out freepress.net. They've been leading the way on net neutrality, and also check out the Center for Media Justice.
And public knowledge, too.
And public
knowledge.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the People Power Lunch Hour. I want to thank all our guests from Women in Media, and also LaQuisha Anthony from WOAR. You can check out WOAR at WOAR.org. And of course, check out Philly Cam for this episode and all of our episodes of the People Power Lunch Hour. We're going to be back again next week. We'll have a special guest, Kyle Moore. He's been involved in the healthcare protests, so he's going to talk about their successful initiative to kill the latest healthcare bill. And he also did the march from Charlottesville to D.C. And hopefully we'll have some folks calling from Magnet to talk about net neutrality. All right. Thank you so much. You're listening to WPPM LP in Philadelphia.